All right. All right, we're being recorded. Welcome, December's meeting. I guess what we'll do tonight, I guess we'll do introductions here tonight because we have different faces here and we have a pretty large forum, which I'm glad to see here. We'll get through the formalities. And after the formalities today, we'll move on to, we have some door prizes we put together, Mike and I and Wendy. We have some things that can do, as we call it. We don't have a program tonight, right?
No, we do not. You do. You said that you wanted everybody to bring
Show and tell.
show and tell.
Did everybody bring show and tell? Anybody bring the show and
Yeah,
tell?
yeah, there's stuff right here.
This is good. Okay. So tonight will be a show and tell event, and then I guess probably I don't know if we want to do a drawing before or after the show and tell. We'll figure it out and get there. There's nothing analysis here. This is my last meeting, as you know.
As president.
That could be taken many ways. That's right. And Wendy will take the reins after today. So we welcome you, Wendy.
No, it's going to be Madam President.
Madam, we got it. Madam President.
Madam President.
Madam President.
We have to
Well,
drop down
I'm
on
thinking, I'm sorry, gentlemen, it sounds too much like pepper.
When I did it the first time, I gotta tell you, I was like, I don't know what to do this. It doesn't just quite sound right. So, Madam President will take the reins of this meeting. So with the formalities, I guess we'll get started here. I think we normally start out with a treasurer's report here. Dave, are you on the call?
When we go around and
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, let's go around the room, and then we'll get to the formalities. I'll start. Alan, W3ISR.
Oh, W3ASW, right?
Tom, KC3FW. I'm Foster, K3FXS.
Wendy, KB3ZDM.
Mike, KD3RE. Ken, KC3ROF.
Mitch, KC3FPG.
David, KC3 SJY.
Dave, KC3AM.
Jeff, KC3.
We got the letters.
Finally, it came in the mail. FTP.
FTP? Yeah, I like
Oh,
that one.
that's nice.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you do? I'm sorry.
Jeff, Justin Goldston.
And then the call then.
KC3 FTP.
I was typing Dave's.
KC3, sorry, TFP.
TFP.
Oh, okay.
Transport file.
No.
TFP. Right.
Dave, KC3BEJ.
Ken, AC3DH.
Ken, NU3A.
Bill, W3RB. Jeff, WA3I.
And on the call, we see we got Paul. Want to yell it?
You're muted.
Muted.
Sorry, Paul, K3PGM.
Jeff. Your turn.
Tom is here, KB3ONZ.
Jerry, KB2GCG.
Terry.
Frank,
Jeff,
N3FG. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's a free
Hi,
for all.
Frank, how you doing? Jeff.
Jeff, K3JRZ.
And I see Alan on the call. He's quiet.
Alan, K3AAA.
Hi, Alan, how are you doing? And Joanne.
Joanne, KC3OVK. Good evening.
Good evening. And we have the best for last, Dave.
I don't know about that. Dave, K3DX, good evening.
Good evening. Okay, now we'll get started with the meeting. I'm going to put the recording on pause, and we're going to hand it over to Dave, K3DX, for our treasurer reports. Hold on a second. Stop. Pause. All right. I guess no one's representing ARL here.
Well, yes, I'm going to fill in for Mark. So for regarding the ARRL, as you know, we don't have a section manager at this time. And Mark Stillman is actively pleading with anybody, Dave Scott included, that might be interested in becoming section manager.
I'll vote for that.
Well, that's what happens when you talk, you'll get called on. But so there were a couple of people from Sussex that emailed me the other day, and they're really putting up the call for somebody to step up for a section manager. It is a person who would be retired that had the time to do it.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a position that's great, definitely needs to be filled. There's a possibility that we might end up having like a 6-month period where there isn't anybody. ARRL does have that option of not having anybody in there, but Mark would like to not see that happen if at all possible. So anybody who, Mark is still around, they're officially moving into Pennsylvania the middle of January. So he's available to talk to if you need to.
So the plight has been when what's his name? Before Bill Duvenik was running it, he was able to get Mark to work to do this part-time or do it as long as he can, and hopefully try to find a more permanent member to take that role. And for those who are not, who are hearing this for the first time, the responsibility, there is a form of responsibility of taking that position. One thing about Bill, when he was doing the job, we were just commenting that over dinner. I mean, he would show up at our meetings, even though he lived in Sussex County, right? Very proactive. So that's the key, is that being able to get around and meet with the other clubs, and that's a big part of being the section manager. So
yeah, and there's a great need too, because right now Kent County is kind of out of the loop. It's pretty much like Sussex is really big in Foxcom and stuff, and they've actually interacted with us with CARES and some DRA stuff, and even some small level the set that we did, the Sussex County people were really involved. Kent County was kind of like a little blip. So anybody who would have a burden to do the section manager job, to reunite the state as a whole. If I was retired, I would take it on. But
I was this close, as you know, that I was going to take it, but work took it after me. So
if it could be a shared job, maybe you and I could do it together.
Well, don't jump at the opportunity. Slow your roll, as they say, right?
Yeah, no, seriously, no. I mean, it's got a lot of potential. There are people who really want to help whoever gets into it. So I know personally, I will help whoever takes it on. So to the best of my ability, that helps anybody making a decision.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll move on from that. Thank you. Usually we do that last.
I will make a comment about that. The requirements for that position are you need to be
A member of ARL.
ARRL for at least 2 years, I believe.
A paying member.
Paying member.
Paying member for 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can't be a life member.
You could be
Well, yeah, I
like.
mean, but you had have been in for at least 2
Life
years.
member is a paid
RL
member.
for 30 years. I've been a life member.
So is that
Chet,
throwing your name in the hat?
Chet, you just joined. Oh,
Are
that's
you
great.
throwing your name in
A
it?
life member is a
By
paid member.
default, that means you are the section manager, right?
Somebody on camera on Zoom want to say something?
I was just saying that being a life member is a paid member.
Right.
You just prepaid.
I didn't pay.
Oh, you were, you say honored, you're an honoree?
No, I did pay. I mean, I paid, but it was
Many years ago.
$7.50 a year times 20.
Oh, yeah.
That's how much money I paid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll move on. Thanks. I guess we'll move to old business. We got a lot to talk about here, I think, don't we?
Yeah, I just want to get some of the attendance stuff cleaned up
Mhm.
first, real quick.
Want to move these cookies around the table here because I'm
How
not.
many days are here?
Slide them around.
A lot, 4 days,
Three?
4.
And one on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't believe there's 2 Allens,
okay.
spelled the right way.
So.
All right, equal time. How many cases?
Yeah, I know.
Which is
Couple pens here, too.
J1. David. And- Jeff.
So Jeff, David, this is your first meeting?
First meeting.
Okay, great. And I know Jeff as well. Okay.
When do I pay?
After 3 meetings, you pay.
Or if you join in on our nets.
I have an application, so.
Okay, there's like, again, we're very flexible. Just,
Okay.
we have well, how about we hold off? We'll explain that. While we have 2 new members here, potential members, we'll
Sure.
explain the process.
Okay.
All right, it's important. It's not hard, by the way. It's not hard.
Yeah. It's more ceremonial than anything else. Okay, so I think I've got everything. I can get those when Alan gives me the recording.
I can call them out to you.
All right, again.
There's Jeff. Was it K3JRZ? There's Ted.
What?
No, we're just we're taking notes for the meeting minutes. Who's on the call? There's Ted K3RTA.
Yep.
You know Frank N3FG, of
Yeah.
course, right? You know Jerry.
Yep.
There's Joanne. Do you have Joanne's calls?
Casey. Casey's
K3
OV.
OVK. And then because you see Tom, you see Alan, and you see Dave. You can see those.
You got Paul?
And Paul.
I got Paul, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, a lot of members tonight. This is great.
It's fantastic.
This is great.
All right. Thank you for that.
I guess they're all here to see the swearing in.
Tom understands, baby.
Swearing.
No, not swearing, swearing in.
Yeah, we can swear people out.
Yeah,
You're not walking away.
I know this is not going well right now.
All right, old
Okay.
business, I have, last month we voted in Mitch.
Welcome.
accepted for membership. Thank you.
I'm glad he's here. He didn't not stop. He did a no-show, in his first.
We have Winterfield Day. Maybe Mike can touch on that. Do you have any new information on that?
Well, we have the yurts. The yurt is been acquired, and we're just looking for people. So I think we'll probably just put out an email for people to volunteer to come and operate.
So the last Sunday in last weekend in January.
Do you need the club program for January to plan this?
No.
No? Okay.
The 29th, 30th, the 30th is last Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's Saturday into Sunday.
Yeah, and it's at Lum's Pond in the camping area.
28th, 29th, 30th.
Those yurts get cold.
Yeah.
I did it a few years ago.
So can we bring in the space heaters into those places? Are they allowed?
Yeah, you have 2 20-amp circuits.
Oh, wow.
But they have, I thought there was heat there.
No,
No heat? Okay.
2 20-amp circuits, there was an air conditioner.
That's not gonna help.
Flip it around, you have to get the weather
It's
out.
not gonna help. Yeah, you flip it around.
You know what, space heater down there, and we were still in full outside gear to keep warm. That weekend, 4 years ago, was very cold.
We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Well, you could turn the air conditioner around.
Yeah. Supposed to say the same thing. That's really what it is. Heat pumps, right?
Too many engineers.
Too many engineers,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, it's only
So before,
I'm getting to that.
what?
You wanted,
No, I'm trying to finish up with this topic.
yeah,
He's,
go ahead.
so for those who have not been attending the meetings, just to kind of catch up on it, is that, again, we're planning on doing a Winterfield Day. We're still in the planning phase where, I guess Mike and I are gonna spearhead most of this here, for this event. All are welcome, right, to partake. It's probably gonna be a lot less, it's gonna be more informal than it has been typically than our summer field day events, where we typically have a larger turnout and we have to structure it so people who want to get on our radio and do, do calling can actually, find that time. What we're gonna wind up doing is sometime after the holidays, we'll go out and we'll query everyone to see who's interested so that we get a head count. Maybe we have to make it a little more formal if we have a lot of more folks who are interested in wanting to attend. Right now, the question is 2A, is it a 2A you think we're going with?
I don't think there's a
I
category.
don't,
There's no
they
category,
don't
but like
do
a
it that
2A.
way.
Excuse me?
They don't do it that way. It's not,
Yeah.
not the number of stations.
Right, but I'm just saying, yeah, I got it. I was just wondering if we are gonna put 2 stations up on the, or we're gonna do 1. That's
You have 1 yurt or 2?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
There's only 1 yurt there now.
Oh, okay, there was 2.
Yeah, there's 1.
Does
So-
the yurt have electricity in it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. No generators needed.
And
Yeah.
The only restriction I remember having was you're not supposed to put anything up in the trees.
Not, yeah,
We can arrange that.
that's the fun part about it.
That's one of the rules,
Says
I
who?
remember.
That's the park.
I'll talk to Yogi.
Somebody-
see what he says.
I forget who I was down there with, but somebody knew the ranger that was there that weekend.
Yeah.
So we had no troubles.
Yeah, and that's something we hope we can do is to throw something up in the trees, and take down,
Yeah, we know it's not gonna hurt anybody.
no. Especially we're gonna have no leaves, that's gonna help a lot.
Plus, we have that beer can vertical. We got that, and that'll fit in really well.
Yeah, it's like your backyard, Frank, right? Pull out your, what do you call it, antenna there?
No, the can vertical.
Oh.
It works great on plane.
Yeah, nothing like the park rangers seeing Budweiser sitting right up there, on a stack.
You'll love
it. So, okay, so yeah, just stay tuned. We're gonna work out the formalities after the holidays. For all the newer members, this is an opportunity if you want to, come down, sit down, meet some folks, and we try to have some camaraderie. Yeah, that's the goal.
Counts as an event.
Counts as an event if you're yeah, right. If you're gonna do your meetings, if you're gonna do meetings to get to your validation of being a member, that's 3 months, right? So you can shortcut it by a month. So it's just it's food for thought, just anyway. I guess that's really it on that. So stay tuned.
We're still looking for a program director. That's old and new business. Of course.
Okay, so Chet emailed me and has volunteered to take that position over.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Now I need programs, folks.
You
So-
get them.
And so I helped you with your one for February,
Yes.
and I have a couple of people that that I can help pull from and connect you with. Also, Chet has, one of his caveats to becoming our program director was that for our summer field day, he is not the person in charge of summer field.
I got that covered.
So,
Volunteer.
and I agreed with him that that is a very undaunting task.
Yeah.
And it really should be the club. All of us should be putting together.
Right, Mike and I were talking about this over dinner because, he typically was the one doing it in the past, and I said, look, I think I can handle field day for you guys. That's something I can take on as something, and kind of got mentored here.
Awesome. So see that, Chet, you stepped up to the plate and it just all fell right into place. See that? Thank you.
Yeah.
Still need a January program though.
My project
I
is almost
actually
there.
have one,
Okay.
but I'm looking for volunteers and, if anybody's ready.
Okay, so now that you know Chet is our program director, feel free to throw things out to him. One of the things that I said to Chet in our emails was that we have a group of people that are members here who have amazing talents and knowledge in ham radio. And there's a number of things. We could go back to the basics of things. We could go off onto major wild and crazy stuff, you know?
Right.
So the world is available to us. So please speak up if you have something that you'd like to share that's a passion of yours. You know, I think about all the times that Paul Milazzo has talked about his mesh networks and all that kind of stuff, and I go, you know, I'm trying to like absorb it like a sponge. So, you know, please don't be bashful.
I don't think it would hurt at all for us to revisit many of the programs that were done in the past. I've been in the club for about 3 years, so I know I've missed a lot.
I have too,
Yeah.
so I agree with you. There,
And
actually, you go on the website, you'll
Mhm.
find some of those old presentations are on the website, so, you know, they're actually worth to take a look. Chet's got a couple good ones on there about antennas, if I remember, you know.
Does, Chet, do you know if Scotty's video is around on the power supplies?
Oh, I don't have anything like that, no.
It might be still up on
It's on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh, is
That's
it?
where it was, wasn't it? Okay, I'll have to look for it. I'd like us to have a copy of that somewhere, or at least in our channel.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that video is about taking your standard computer PSUs that you use and you convert them into a switching power supply for ham radio.
Whoa.
Yeah, really cool.
Actually, in there about 30 amps too.
Yeah.
Drone bot workshop has got a project.
Right.
Ugh.
It's, if you want to get inside of them, you can actually peak that up to 13.8, but you gotta figure out where it's at.
And so, yeah, actually, some of them you can actually buy, that you can actually adjust for just a variable resistor inside of them, just because they for tuning purposes, I mean, for calibration.
So the three laptops that I have sitting around that aren't being used as laptops anymore, I have power supply availability.
Those are 19 volts, they're not the same.
You want the power supply on your desktop.
Out of a desktop. one.
19 volts, whatever, 18, 19 volts, I think they are, right?
Okay.
No, these are different because you're gonna need amperage, and those laptop, even if you were to get the voltage down, you're only gonna get a couple amps, and it would not be able to handle a ham, you know, typical radio.
Right.
So, all right. So program director, okay, we got that. That's good. I would actually throw out there, Chet, just as I mentioned in the last meeting, there's a lot of things I haven't done in the area of PSK. If anybody has done some work in PSK and we'll have to put a presentation together to how to get online and do a PSK contact, that would be kind of a cool thing. I know a lot of folks here have never done it too, so food for thought. You know, go back to some of the basics.
Collect the list of things people would like.
That's
to
a
see.
good idea.
Mhm.
Have a running list, and then this way, if people have anything, it might be easier. Oh, I can do that, rather than trying to think of something.
So here's the first.
You brought up Ready last month or the month.
Ready, well, that's what I'm PSK. I meant ready.
Yeah.
Ready, that's what I really meant.
Okay.
So let's throw this one out there. Chet, are you okay if I say to everyone on the call, if you have an interested topic that you would like to hear about, send Chet an email to the mailer, and I guess you collect it and see what, maybe there's a consensus of things, and we can go after the things that most people want.
Mhm.
Now, of course, some people like Frank over here be bored to death because he's seen it all.
Bill.
Bill and Frank.
I was gonna say, who's Frank?
Hit me, sorry. So, Bill. Okay, any other old news?
Wendy,
Wendy.
that was the only other thing from last month.
Oh.
President.
Madam President. Very good. Okay. All right, then we'll move on to new business, new news, new business. Any new business? Anybody on the call, alcohol, new business?
I think.
New,
Well, wait a
going
minute.
back to your,
we did. Where were you?
No, what about the STEM stuff?
that wasn't on last month's old business. So I didn't.
We tabled it.
We tabled it?
Yeah.
We had to because schools right now are.
Okay,
Foster
so,
care explained.
so that's still
off the table.
It's still off the table.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
He'll revisit that when he gets his
You
go
want,
ahead.
7 sentences?
Excuse me?
You want 7 sentences about the status?
Yeah, why
or-
not?
So currently the schools are not doing any other after-school activities unless there's a teacher or an administrator directly involved with it. And they're limiting those activities to just the hour after school. So pretty much at this point, it's basketball and that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so I have robotics running, but that's because it's a long-term program. They've not started anything new. And after-school clubs have been pretty much like drama and band and theater and all that kind of stuff has basically been canceled.
Yeah, okay.
Too close to
Yeah.
contact and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, in my hospital up in New York, we had a live stream today and we were supposed to have people come back in person in offices January 10th. And because of the numbers of spiking that happened after Thanksgiving, they went, yeah, that happened at Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas and New Year's. Now
Yeah.
we're canceling, mandatory coming back in. So my trip.
Playing it safe. Yeah, they're playing it safe right now. I know. So Philadelphia's doing the same thing. Okay. All right, let's move on then. Let's move on to new business.
You mentioned this earlier, we can throw it in new business if we want to just go over, since we have a lot of new members, the process.
Yes, let's do that. I was gonna save it to last, but let's do it now. So I guess the way we typically do it is 3 events, right? 3 events could be 3 meetings. It could be a meeting, show up on our monthly net is an event. We have that always
Second and fourth
Wednesday
Wednesdays.
of the month, 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month.
So you could actually do it in a month.
You can almost do, you can do it in a month, come to a meeting and go to. Right.
It's on the homepage of the website.
Right. So Chip made a good point here. You can get your eligibility in 1 month by doing two nets and show up at a meeting and you're in.
Sorry, what dates were the nets again?
The
Second and fourth Wednesday of each month, so whatever next Wednesday is, the 22nd, something like that.
Right.
That'll be, right before Christmas. Next
7:45
Wednesday is our
PM.
next.
These
7:45.
these are
If
regularly
you're on
announced.
the,
They're
if you're-
announced.
if you're on the Reflector, the
Yeah.
FSARC, Google Groups, I usually send out a reminder like the day before that day. And so if you get that, it gives you a frequency and the all that stuff and then the time, 7:45.
But
Try to put it on
if you're
Twitter.
not on the
When I
reflector,
see- When I see your email, I try to put it on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yeah, we have a Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Who uses Twitter?
is everybody here on the reflector?
I don't know, I was gonna get to that.
Okay. So
I do know
sporadic
for a lot of people, like,
I get some emails.
particularly if your ISP is Comcast, which is mine, a lot of times, about half of the times, all my Reflector stuff goes in spam folder, sometimes comes direct to me. So I always make it a good practice just to look at my spam folder like once a day. Like, sometimes I get real important emails. that go to the
I don't
spam
even
folder.
want to, I don't want to look at my spam folder.
Or it's very easy to set up an account on Gmail or Yahoo Mail just for the club email. Very easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, that is the other option, it's just an email or an FARC at, well, we do that now.
No, he's talking about people.
People.
Google Groups, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to be directly enrolled. You can't subscribe to it.
You could also turn off spam filtering.
Nah.
Oh, gosh, no.
no, I don't.
Not a good idea.
I'm doing it for my. my account.
Who said that?
Nothing goes into spam.
There's gonna be a test after this.
That I have.
I did, Alan.
Spam folder once a day and look at it, if there's like, something real, then.
Yeah, I'm not.
No, that takes like all of like 2 minutes, so.
Yeah. I don't want to, I look at my spam folder and I just shake my head and go, I didn't know I know all these people. I don't mean nice people. So anyway, okay, great. So again, could be a monthly meeting, it could be a call-in. If we're doing a field day, that's considered an event. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
For those of us who are new, I mean, are we gonna get emails of the events and stuff like that? Because I don't know if you have my email or not
I'm gonna ask for emails.
yet. Okay, cool.
Yeah, all the new folks here, Mike will put you on the mailer.
So how new are you to ham radio?
Well, I started 50 years ago in high school.
Yeah.
And then I decided to do something, stopped doing it for a while, college and whatever else. And then decided to get back into it now. And Did the fest, did that in some, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And the FCC finally.
Okay.
It's funny, I called them and said, what's the status of my license? He says, well, it's in process. And wouldn't you know, about 5 minutes later, I saw the email. True story, guys, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
So someone at the right to something.
You don't know who's listening.
2 meter, 70 centimeter radio.
If there's a guy
And, looking forward to getting back
listening, he's
on the
taking a while.
It took 2 days to get.
Well, so
I was a novice.
years
Mine
ago.
this year,
Okay.
I think there's a lot of monitoring going on.
His last name was Weissman. He passed away. Aaron, was it Aaron Weissman?
K3VWP.
He gave me my novice test, 1979. And I did code and I took the written, got my novice. Then I started traveling. I was a packaging engineer. Started traveling, got married. That killed it. Let my license expire. Shame on me. So back in June, this past June, I took my tech, passed it. In September, I took my general, passed it. And so it's been 40 some years in between. And now I'm studying Morse code again. So I'm like starting all over.
Good.
But I've got, 30-year-old equipment. I do have a new antenna in the backyard and made a few contacts in the last week. So things are progressing,
Good.
but a
great.
lot of stories out there. I have one quick story. I put up a Hustler 5 BTV vertical. Great reviews and everything, and everybody said, oh, you gotta have like 50 radials, all around your
Not in Delaware,
lawn.
not in Delaware.
Well,
I have one too.
do you?
Yeah.
I was getting all these, positive feedbacks, negatives. Oh, I don't have any radials on my antenna, and I just talked to somebody in Europe.
And you know why? Because the ground is so wet here.
Okay,
That's the reason why.
so bottom line, after I spent
That's
like
right.
$450
Settle down.
on the
Settle
antenna
down.
and all the options, I put down, because I had a radial plate and 500 feet of wire.
Oh, geez.
Oh, it's the worst.
The sucker that I was from DX Engineering,
Yeah, they'll do that.
Oh, you got it from DX Engineering too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Did you get a hat?
Tote bag.
Oh, there you
So I have 20 radials down because the rest of my yard is deck and paved patio.
Yeah.
So I could only do 20. But I mean, they're in the ground, they're pretty much buried already because of the grass. And I'm anxious to use it. Just hooking everything up, all the cables and connectors and this and that.
It's not a bad antenna for footprint and cost. I'm in a homeowners association, so I can hide mine very easily. That's the thing I like about my antenna. And it is, as I said, the radial thing I looked at, I put the antenna up, threw it on an analyzer, and I looked to see how it performed. And lo and behold, I went, I get an SWR lower than 1.5 on all bands, and I'm like, I just got to tune it. And it turns out it's because the ground is damp, so you have a better, absorbs. It has a better ground absorption. So those guys who live in the desert are the ones that need all those radials.
Yeah, I mean, I got feedback. Somebody stuck it on their wooden fence.
They don't hurt.
On a 4x4
No, they don't hurt, right,
post,
just to
and
have
then
them, right.
somebody else
Because I got
put it on a cyclone fence,
26 of them, I think.
right, connected it right to the post of a
So you
cyclone
put
fence.
right
So
down.
They had 100 feet of fence in
And
the
that actually
backyard
does
with the
a
antenna
little bit
hooked
there
to it.
too.
So,
I have a great
Yeah.
test the ground line.
but
Yeah, right.
it's getting there.
Great, good news.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeff? What are you doing right now?
Right now, I just had a little handheld, little Chinese handheld, did a decent job. Programming it up right now, and looking forward to getting back to radio on FM for a while, Simplex and whatever else, and see what happens. Problem I've got, I live in an HOA also, but a lot of my neighbors are, shall we say, more senior than I am. I think it's 55 plus. And I put the antenna on top of my car, about 20 of my neighbors came over, and said, what's that on top of your car?
Oh, boy. Has that ever-
Yeah, well, you know the rest of the story on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
No, don't worry, I won't do it until 896. So, you know, leave me alone. But, you know, I'm gonna get back into it again. Like yourself, way back when, 50 years ago, you had to learn CW, had a Benton Harbor lunchbox, 2 meters. A little key on the side, slap it. It was fun. Been out of it for a while, lived overseas, so I really couldn't go on the air, not in France, in the UK, anything. So, you know, when you get more back involved into it again, and also being active in the club.
Yeah.
A lot of good guys here, a lot of good information. I figure out there's probably about close to 500 years of knowledge beneath this table alone. You know? So you know, I'm gonna tap into it, trust me.
That's the intent of this, is the club. So,
And then we have, oh, I
I
was
guess you
saying,
could say I'm new.
yeah, I was saying, you're new and how, and you too, right?
A month, I guess, formally now, yeah.
Okay,
I'm a little past that. I was a novice back in the late 80s and 90s. And then the IT bug bit me and I just kind of let it slide.
Yeah.
And been retired since 2014 and got quite a bit more interested in it. And went last March to Holy Rosary to get my ticket. And I went in hoping to get my tech. And lo and behold, I walked out passing the general.
Good job.
That's where I'm at right now. Got my license about 4 or 5 weeks later. And Mr. Dave here at 3 a.m. helped me put up 2 antennas. I can't get up on my roof. It's too bad.
Yeah.
I've been a candidate for 2 knee replacements since the 80s. And I can't get up there, but I've got a Comet vertical and a Diamond dual bander up there. And it's been enjoyable. I got an old ICOM 756 Pro that is it's an incredible radio. I got it used and it's been doing a really nice job. It's been quite a learning experience getting to learn all the little intricacies of it. And it's got a lot of them. Yeah.
well, yeah, like I said, and the one thing that I could tell you, the one thing I noticed about ham radio in the last 10 years is that there are different areas you can go to now. It's not just contact and voice or CW. It's, you got digital now, you got satellites, you got, like I said, there's so many facets of it now that you can have, you can find your niche and be the niche person in that area.
Yeah, I don't have an issue. I own a single family home. And there is no HOA that I have.
You're lucky you.
So.
Lucky you.
Yeah. But getting contacts really doesn't do a whole lot for me. I'm a little more into the techie end of it.
Yeah.
More interested in it.
I'm the same way. I'm not I'm more about the experience than it is about the contesting part of it. So
I do like the idea of contacting somebody in a place, out of the country and just sitting down and having a rag chew with them for, 5 minutes or so, finding out what's it like where you are. That's always fascinated me.
Fantastic.
and you?
Yeah, so I kind of had a interest in electronics hobby as a teenager. I have an older brother that's a electrical engineer. I never formally got into ham radio.
It's good to get experience.
Actually, several years ago, I bought a couple of pinball machines that I restored. So more digital electronics and kind of learned some stuff about that. And then COVID hit the pinball kind of shut down to a certain extent. It's like, yeah, let's do a little bit more with radio. So, yeah, got my technician in May, got my general in September. Got a little QRP rig for show and tell that I'll tell you about. And been blessed lately with the Nikon 7300 and Icon 7000. So looking forward to getting on UHF, VHF with the repeaters and starting. I have no voice skills, so I need to. That's what I'm looking forward to is doing.
Hey, Dave, sounds like you got a whole new neck controller. You got the mentor here. Throw him right into the fire, right?
Yeah. So that's why I'm here.
That's how you do it. Dave will throw you right into the fire.
So Chet, you were talking about wanting to come up with ideas. So you hear the new people that while they've got some experience, they're getting back into the hobby. You know, so maybe some of the basic stuff of. Yeah.
We talked about basic,
Mhm.
basic ham radio.
Nothing wrong about revisiting those topics, you know, because I have to say, I know for a lot of the older members here, I've only been a member of the club of 4 years now. And it's interesting from my perspective, you know, coming in here and seeing all the different experience that's here. You know, I'm an engineer by trade, you know, but the one thing I do, I sat here and I watched we used to do a lot of great presentations over the last 4 years that I was here. And I'm hoping that we have so many new members now because because I think COVID had a lot to do with that. We brought in a lot more membership, which is good because this is what we want. We want the exchange. Yeah, maybe we'll regress a little bit for some of the newer members, but that just builds you guys up, gals up to that level, and the next crop of folks will come in. We may have to do it again one day. So this is you know, it reiterates on itself. So welcome, and hope to see you guys involved in some of the events that we have coming up. So before we close on new business, I think Mike wanted to bring something up. Yeah, are we good here? Conversation wise?
Oh, I was just gonna mention about the new membership. Okay, so we do have the one rule for the longest time, which has been you're voted in, but you got to remember too, I came from a large club. I came from the Dayton Amateur Radio Association. They sponsor Hamvention every year. Well, not for the last 2 years, but they had like 600 members. And still, it was less than 50 people that did the work. It's just like any other organization. You have 10% of the people do majority of the work. So the only thing we're doing about the voting in and the requirements for 3 activities is just to make sure that people just don't throw money at it and just say, okay, I'm joining and I'm a member of that club. We want people to be active. So that's why we require that the 3 people to do that, or the 3 events. And the voting is just to make sure, because it's in the bylaws, to make sure that
Which we could
have.
fix, because we made a pass that a couple of years ago to fix.
Yeah, you could make a fix to that, yeah. I think it's a good idea that we have that you have 3 activities.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think the voting isn't. I think it's a hang off from the 60s old boys clubs.
Yeah, it is. It could be. I mean, but still, it's something that's in the bylaws, and we can probably vote that out if we wanted to.
Has anyone ever been not voted?
I don't, as far as I know, nobody has not been voted in.
Okay.
Bill,
we want every sucker we can get.
We take their money.
We'll take their money, right?
Doesn't one need to be a paying member to make an official motion at a formal proceeding?
Yes.
To do what?
Well, we had went on to a suggestion of eliminating voting, but that presumes that one has to be a paying member
Only to make a motion to do
To
that.
initiate a motion.
To initiate a motion and to be seconded, it has to be done by a member.
I prefer to try through peer pressure to see if I can convince somebody to do that.
So
I just say pay your money and you get voted in.
So I make a motion that we revisit this next month in January, and we'll talk about amending the current bylaws to eliminate the need for a vote, that once somebody has met the 3 event rule, that they can just become a paid member. So that's what we're gonna put in for topic for next.
For new
business.
business.
For new business.
We will have.
And I also would put in there too, that vote, even though it's by the whole club, there has to be a way to say that, okay, if you're gonna do the 3 rule, there has to be a check and balance for that 3 rule.
Right,
So somebody has to review those 3 activities,
exactly.
which means somebody from the executive committee has to say, yes, this. Do you agree? Yes, we agree. Okay, you're in.
Mhm.
That's what I think should happen.
Right. Now, I agree. So let's talk about this next month, see,
All right.
see how we can make sure that all the checks and balances, because Dave is usually the net control. I filled in for him a couple of times for our nets, like when he's had wedding anniversary and birthday or something.
Flyers game.
Flyers game or whatever.
Hockey.
But whenever we had a net, like I always would email him,
Yeah,
who
the
would
roster.
actually part the roster for the net. So he's the keeper of that. And
But
then-
Dave, I heard about these hockey games. I heard a lot of stuff about the hockey games.
What stuff?
Well, yeah, I heard, I know what goes on during them hockey games. I know what goes on. It's not just hockey.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
Go to bar after, but.
No, I was thinking before and during the
Hooky.
game, you know, come on, buddy.
You mean hooky games?
so, you know,
So we're, so you're doing the net control while he's out tipping a few. Is that what you're saying, Dave?
Leave Dave alone. He's our net control master
okay,
here.
so we do have a couple of people who are responsible for helping keep the log of attendance in those activities.
Mhm.
So that won't be a problem of how but we'll revisit this next month and we'll talk about it as a.
We never had to worry about it, Wendy, because we didn't have a lot of members coming through a lot. So,
Right.
so it wasn't something that we had to keep an eye on this. We pretty much knew that we'd only see one new member show up over the period. So it was very easy to know that that person would, eventually over time was going to get voted in,
Right. Well, I remember there was somebody that had recently come in the past year that I hadn't seen in any of our meetings or heard on a net, but you knew of from prior stuff.
Right.
And I remember asking you about that individual. You said, I could vouch. I was like, that's all I needed to know. And so when somebody knows somebody's history as to their participation in various events, I think that goes huge, and just, accept their membership as what it is. But we can talk about this because obviously the bylaws would have to get changed if we're going to eliminate the need to vote.
And I think to be fair, it is worth, I won't use the word, I hate using the word debate, but it's something we should discuss.
I think
Okay.
so too.
All right.
I'm just putting it out there
Yeah,
because
definitely.
there's a few people
Of course,
that,
it's gonna be a debate, but we have to start out being nice about this. and We'll see where it goes,
You want to duke it out?
Because
How many members are required to make a change to the bylaws?
that was a question I was gonna ask. Do we need like 2/3?
I think
2/3?
it's 2/3.
That could be a problem. Yes.
We should read to see if it's 2/3 of the members, or once we have a quorum, if it's 2/3 of those present.
Yeah, I think the sticking point.
I don't have the
I
bylaws
think
open in front of me.
motions is two-thirds of the
Present.
attendance. I think changes to the Constitution, 2/3 of the membership.
I think
Yeah,
that's
because
more
we used to
typical.
have to mail it out,
Right, we did,
Right.
yeah.
so it wasn't, it had to be by the membership, total membership.
Okay, well, I think, and that's where it's gonna wind up as we get.
Well, that's down the road.
Right.
'cause that's down the road, but we have to start the conversation,
Mhm.
so. And who knows, it might not change, but
Move on.
we'll get it this, yeah.
Just, you give it a shot,
Right.
right? Okay, any other new business?
Wendy, I guess we have the Zoom account taken care of now.
Oh, so for the benefit of everybody else that was not on, so up to this point, Alan has been using his own personal Zoom account for our meetings. And when Mark Stillman stepped down from being the section manager, his ARRL account Zoom was going to go away too. His was expiring in November. So we contacted ARRL, and I've now taken on the Zoom account because there's no section manager. And I'm good until next November to, and so one of the caveats of them paying me back for the Zoom account was to benefit all of the ham radio operators here in Delaware. So any of the clubs that had to have a meeting, any group of hams that would like to do a Zoom meeting, all you have to do is contact me and I can set you up for a meeting. And so I'll start making one for this club, so we don't have to do a paid membership for the club right now.
And one thing you can do, being that it's managed as such, is you can maintain a consistency of the logins and everything. So it like I would send the mailer out only because I would establish a meeting and I would just cut and paste that into the into the mailer for the month.
Right.
But I think and then I see a lot of people, what's the login?
It won't
It
change.
shouldn't
Yeah.
change. Okay.
And
I don't think it actually does
if
change
I could-
anything, but I just
If I could make a couple of notes, one is I'd also volunteer as a backup. I have a paid account. We can use that if necessary, if there's a conflict, because you can't schedule 2 meetings at the same time. So if there's 2 clubs meeting at the same time or overlap, or 2 groups meeting, you'd need a different account. And you can get lots of reports. I also did find, and I put it into the chat in Zoom, section 1, I think it's in the Constitution, says that constitutional bylaws can be amended by a majority vote of the club members present at a meeting, provided all members have been notified by mail of the vote to amend the constitutional bylaws at a
That's a fair way
specified
to
meeting.
show up.
Yep.
And then proposals for amendments shall be submitted at a regular meeting and may not be voted on until the next regular meeting after notification of all the changes have been sent to all the members by mail, et cetera, et cetera.
Is everybody?
Thanks, Jerry.
Sure.
So the key to that is to understand is that even virtual attendees also count as
Yes.
members.
Yep. If they're
And
paid
that
members.
we can
and they're
discuss,
from
we can discuss next month, but we can't vote on it till the following month.
Right.
Okay.
And depending on how the discussion goes, we might not even have a vote. Who knows? you
Correct.
know,
That's right.
Where it's gonna go.
Which is what happened the last time we did this.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So Jerry, I understand that if there was a conflict, that you would let your Zoom account, but we only meet one Wednesday a month. And I don't think any other group is, so hopefully that won't be a problem. So, but I'll let you know if we ever do cross that bridge. Give you ample time to create it for that month. So. Actually, I think because mine's a paid account, I think I can have one meeting going on.
yes, you can. On mine, I was able to.
Yeah, it's a paid account, so I don't think there's gonna be. a
I paid
conflict.
account, and you have, I think, the ability to do rooms too, if you want to have
Yes.
rooms.
Yes, but even a paid account cannot have 2 simultaneous meetings, I believe.
It needs to be the corporate paid account, not a personal one.
Correct.
I can serve as a backup too. I've got a pretty substantial.
Yeah, most of
account.
us have.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a worry.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine, but thanks, guys. I appreciate that. You got that? We have 2 backups? Okay.
Okay. Are we meeting along here?
Teamwork. Yeah.
Zoom.
No, Joe. No.
Here, pass this down.
Okay,
It's time for a cookie. You can pass them along if he doesn't want them.
We won't. Yeah, I'll take a bunch.
We're gonna take 2. Take 3. There's.
Okay. Anybody else want cookies here?
I know.
Mike, any other, are we ready to move on? Are we ready to move on, guys?
I have one thing before we switch.
And then we'll do- Okay.
Go ahead.
Nothing else that we want to bring up for new business? All right, Chad, I'm handing it off to you, sir.
I'm looking for volunteers, folks. I don't have, I have a program that I can give in January, but if somebody's got a program they want to give, I'm willing to move that program. In February, we're going to have a program on VARA, VARA. All right, it's going to be presented via Zoom.
Okay.
From somebody in Pennsylvania.
His name is Barry. Yeah, he's up in Pennsylvania. February, that's February. March, Mike, I've got you down for March to report on Winter Field Day. I think.
What?
I think. I think
Man,
we
you're not
oughta-
program director anymore. Take it. Go, yeah, okay.
All right, okay, whatever. Okay.
April-
Another PowerPoint is what you're saying?
Whatever you want to
Okay.
present, just tell us what happened, whether or not you froze to death or whatever.
If I make it there, then you'll get a report. If I'm not there, that means Alan and I
The
froze.
expedition was a failure. We did not come home.
April is open. Usually May and June are dedicated to Summerfield Day.
Right.
And the rest of the months are wide open, so.
Well, I might be able to do in April. I'm working on a rotor controller right now.
Jerry,
What?
you just bought a new radio. I want to hear about it. That's just an example, okay?
Yeah.
I have a comment though. I running the field day the last couple of years, I think we spend way too much time
Planning for Field Day.
Planning
Yeah.
for it, you mean?
planning for it. I think we should just shoot from the hip.
Yes.
And I think that we should do the June meeting for it. And I think the May meeting should be
Prep. Not
even
No,
prep,
No, something else. Fun.
something else.
No, I don't mean a presentation. I'm just saying a prep during the meeting notes.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
not a
go
present,
on.
not a
Not
not
a
a specific presentation.
I'm going to leave that up to the Field Day chairman to decide whether or not.
Yes,
he
yes.
Well, can I
Yes.
make a comment about that? So field day, from what my understanding of what field day is supposed to be, it's supposed to be an emergency services preparation.
You're bringing that e-com stuff into our field day?
I am.
Already?
I am. So, I mean.
She's president yet?
How dare you mention public service in relation to ham radio?
Whoa, and she's paying too.
Excuse me.
See, you have to remember the ear principle. Estrogen always rules.
Gotta remember that one. I gotta remember that one.
How long is her
That's
term?
not going in, that's not recording though.
Look at Paul, his last about it, though.
Joanne, help me out here. So anyway, no, seriously, you know. I'll get fired before I get- I know, Tom.
Can we?
My buddy over here just threw me under the bus. All right, I'll remember that.
She's
Okay.
That's funny.
We know all about impeachment now.
Yeah, that we do.
No, but seriously, I
I-
mean, isn't it
and-
supposed to be something that a group of people, there's a disaster that has technically happened and you get people together that have emergency equipment, you know, they've got their go kits, they've got their generator power of some kind.
Right.
That's why the various levels of how your station is set up as to what kind of power you're using, whether
Yep.
you're on battery power, generator.
That's the way it
power.
usually is. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I understand there's two types of people. There's those that have to really plan. And then there's people who are like going, yeah, I'll fly by the seat of my
There you go,
pants.
Mike.
You know, and I understand both views as to, you know, like, let's plan and see who, you know, and hope that we have enough equipment. And then there's other people who say, oh, let's just see who shows up and we'll do with what we've got. You know, and so there has to be a balance, I think, between the two. I'm not shooting down the way that we.
No,
want it here. I've seen-
your point is extremely there, right? It really is about an emergency, gather your things, let's show up, let's set up, and let's make contact, right? That's the
I
intent.
would disagree.
Okay, so let me ask a question. How many people here have a go kit set up?
I have like a handful.
Okay, so I'm happy to be part of the clown car or field day, but you guys can't bring your go kits.
Can I
You
can't
can't bring
bring?
your go kits because that's planning ahead for disaster.
No,
'Cause my go-
that's
stop.
preparation for disaster.
Oh, so what's the
I'm
fine line
sorry.
between Preparation and planning, because those both start.
Scream, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm trying. Hey,
Scream.
I just wanted to say that I somewhat disagree, because then there would be no preparation allowed in the event. And there is a preparation time allowed in the event. So the idea is not just to start from scratch, although you can exercise it that way, but it's also to exercise the myriad of skills working together in teams, learning how to do doing better at QSOs, logging, even preparing food are all skills that will be needed in an emergency. So there are many
I
skills
don't
that
see the difference of what I said, Jerry, where you disagree with me. The idea, it's not done ad hoc, it's done there's all these preambles in place by the folks within this community here who are contributing to something much larger when there's an emergency.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yep.
It's not totally ad hoc. We're gonna go rub two sticks together and create a fire. No, we're talking about, I have a go kit.
Can't you?
I purposely position my equipment that way so that
For
when there is an
disaster.
for an emergency, I'm gonna bring it.
I think a lot of our planning is for the niceties that we have for field.
Yeah, we kind of sugarcoat a little because of the amount of people we also have.
Porta
showing up.
potty, come on.
Porta potty. The porta potty and the
Porta
food take
potty.
a lot of planning, but it's also trying to figure out, are we gonna be 1A, 1B, 11Q? What's that gonna be
That's-
and what the antennas we're gonna
You're
try
right,
to do
and
within this
that's-
space.
So I would argue the point, or not argue, I just make the point here to say that that's done because we want to make sure that everybody who's a participant has an opportunity to play and partake. So that's
these
the
are
reason
not
why-
mutually exclusive ideas, by the way. You can
Not-
have some
not at
people
all.
who can show up with their go kits and nothing else, have done no preparation. All they know is they're showing up. And then there can be people who do the ultra planning that some people like to do, and they can play as well.
I'd like to
We
make,
need to decide at the time when we assemble what number of radios we're running when we get there.
I'd like to make a point also. I think that, yes, there is an emergency service component to field day, although we do have other things like the simulated emergency tests that are more directly applicable to that. But that's not the only purpose for field day in my mind. I mean, I think a lot of people have different goals, and we need to try to accommodate as many of those as we can. Some people, are interested in the operating practice. Some people just want to make a lot of contacts. Some people are showing up for the food. But I'm one of the people who is interested in using it as a test bed. I have new technologies. I showed up one time. I built a whole mesh network and with links back to the outside world and phones and all sorts of things. And that, I think it was very important to try to do that because it actually does have an emergency use. If your idea of responding to an emergency is something more than showing up with an HT and spelling things over the phone, we have these digital technologies that allow you to mount a much more credible and effective emergency response. Where we could do things like send back video from disaster sites or races that we help organize or whatever. But if you want to work on those technologies and test them out in the field, you need a venue to do that. And so I think there's a lot more going on here. If you think that field day is just about showing up with your HF radio, throwing a wire up in the trees and seeing how many contacts you can make, then great, you should do that. But that's not all it is for me. And I think for other people as well.
It's an exercise in teamwork, that's for sure. Learning. We're not a military organization. We need to cooperate and have at least some kind of informal hierarchy as to what works well and who, what everybody's got to bring, to the table at the time.
I will read you the synopsis from ARL's Field Day. It combines public service, emergency preparedness, community outreach, and technical skills all in a single event.
Yep.
That's it in a sentence. So it's all the above.
For me, I think one of the things that I've liked about the last couple of field days is there's been a reasonable amount of planning that you could break off into teams and sub-teams and go, you 5 guys are building an antenna here, you guys are building an antenna there, you're pulling cables, you're building the tent and stuff. And
Teamwork.
kind of what
Teamwork.
happens.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of planning that I'm talking about. Like, we know, whenever people show up, it's like, what do you want to do? Here's the groups that are going to do that. This is where things
Well, I'm gonna
go.
tell you what, next year, we're bringing back Frank's antenna. And we're all gonna work as a team to put Frank's antenna up.
The Romic.
The Romic.
I loved that Olympic. That was
All
awesome.
right.
Oh my God.
And we're gonna watch how it feels when you get yelled at.
Yeah.
Can we? Didn't you look at the PowerPoint?
Okay, listen, let's move on. Let's move on here. So I'm gonna close this meeting and we need to get a motion to close the
Make a
meeting.
motion to close the meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I get a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Those against? All right. Meeting is officially closed. Recorder is coming on.
Couple of general comments.
You can do major comments too.
Okay. Sent out an email this afternoon, had another guy contact me from Santa Barbara looking for Delaware on FT8, 30 and 40 meters.
I could do 30 easy.
So
I'll take a look.
we can take our time and contact him, see if anybody helping
That's
out.
my favorite band.
And also was up at Bill's house, W3DE today. And now that the winter's here, I gotta get back up there and look in the backyard. There are probably 2 crank up towers that are available.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tower sections, there's what I can see is a tri-band, some sort of a tri-band beam, it's all taken apart.
And there's a big hole there too. Don't
There's a
fall
hole
into
that
it.
he was getting ready to put up the 75-foot crank up that he just bought. He
Ah,
just bought her off the guy, Clark, K3NI.
Yeah.
Who just moved back out to Colorado a couple of years ago.
he's widowed, I assume. Selling any of that equipment?
We haven't talked about whether to sell, give it away.
Wouldn't it be something that we would want for the club, some of like maybe the masks, things like
It's
that?
just gotta go somewhere.
Although that's
I gotta
not
see
ad
what's-
hoc.
you know, It's delayed in the weeds and it's overgrown.
How can the crank?
You want to stop recording the cloud.